Hey guys, welcome back to Honkai Star Rail. In today's video, we're going to have the podcast, which we have dubbed the Off the Rails podcast. We've got our first two guests on, which is going to be Grim from Grimro Gotcha, and also we got Braxophone. I'll leave both their channels in the description. A quick summary from me on these guys, and then we'll get their thoughts. Grim is the analytical genius. He's the guy that I annoy with every question I have about how good a character could be, and I want him to give me numbers to justify my thoughts. And then we have Braxophone. Now, if you haven't checked out Braxophone's channel, which I'm pretty sure if you've played Genshin, you've seen Braxophone, but this dude's content is, we were talking about it earlier, he does like all the editing himself, which is absolutely amazing, because when I look at the videos he makes, it would take me probably 15 hours to do them. Definitely go check both these guys out. Great content. Like I said, I've learned so much in the build up to this game from Grim as well with his knowledge base. So thank you guys both for coming on. We'll start off with you, Brax. So what's been your general thoughts around the launch of the game? How have you enjoyed it? Even touch on the content side. You enjoying content from the game, all that sort of stuff.
Game has been great from what I've been able to play of it. It's really hard to make time because I am doing a lot of like editing myself. By the way, I just want a quick shout out to like Zay and Liffy. They've actually done a couple videos for me and they've done really great jobs with that. So I just want to, didn't want to take all the credit, but yeah. But the game has been really awesome. It's been cool to finally feel like we're making progress, because I don't know if you guys played in the beta, but I played in the beta like a lot. Right, so this is like my fourth time or whatever playing through the game, and now it's like it finally matters what I'm doing. Like I can actually progress and keep it, and I'm really happy with like all the tuning changes they made to like the characters and like the boss fights and all that, because it feels a lot better and it feels like progression is like actually happening. It's like linear. So.
Yeah, 100%. And I didn't remember it until Grim triggered me on it, because we're both level 40 now, looking at 5-star gear. But in the beta, I remember from there, when you started farming the 5-star gear, it was a 50% drop chance in the first entry into it, whereas now it's guaranteed, which just like those type of changes just make it feel so much better. I definitely agree. And like, so how far are you into the game at the moment?
Well, right now I'm 33, but I haven't played yet today, so I'm hoping to get to like 37, maybe 38 tonight. Because I'm pretty close.
And grind through the rest of that story.
I feel kind of behind, right? Because like I'm enjoying the free to play process. I think it's fun and like challenging.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit behind now, but it's a good time. It's just that haven't had as much of a chance to play as I would have liked to. So
yeah, nice. And Grim, like obviously you and me got pretty sweaty pre-launch with Theory, like more so you and me just talking shit at you. How have you found the launch of the game? I know you're going from a min-maxy type perspective. Do you think you've played the game pretty on point with your min-maxing and everything?
I mean, probably not. I mean, if I could like do it all again, I'm sure I'd do some stuff differently. I'm sure everyone feels that way. But yeah, I think the launch of the game is really good. Like the changes they made from beta to live are like some of the best changes, I think. Like they retuned a bunch of characters and like they made a lot of stuff a lot more friendly, like the drops, and they added a whole bunch more rewards to a lot of places. Like, I don't think any of us were expecting to get the amount of free stuff we got on launch, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, I'm really happy with the launch.
Yeah, 100%. Like I did a spreadsheet looking at like sort of the summon income early days in beta, and like the amount that like I was impressed, like just like, and a lot of it, like, cause you and me, Grim, like not so much Genshin people, whereas you, Brax, you'd know this, like just things like Ascension 1, 3 and 5 on your characters now gives a summon. It's like,
yeah,
that is like huge, especially when you consider like the first Ascension. Any character you get, you just take them to first Ascension, costs absolutely nothing. There's some free summons. So the income is pretty decent compared to what it was in the beta. It doesn't matter how big a summon income is or how generous a summon system is, there's always going to be complaints. But compared to the beta, I'm pretty happy with the point it got to. So let's jump off with, what was your first 5-star, Brack?
Well, it's on the beta, it was Welt. On the second beta, it was Welt. On the third beta, it was Welt. And then on this, it was technically Welt too. But I had two accounts that I pulled on. So on one account, I got Welt. And then I pulled on a second account and I got Himiko. But I had like 10 more pulls. So I just did like the 10 more pulls. And the next 10 pull, I got Bailu and Bronya.
In one.
And so... Yeah, in 110. So I got 3 5-stars in the first 20 pulls on that account, and now that's my free-to-play account.
Holy, you don't have Zilla on the free to play account as well, do you?
No, I got her. Yeah. I had to go to like 82, which sucked, but I won the 50-50, so now it's cracked. Like I'm one unit off the dream team right now.
Jeez.
It's insane.
I spent 380 Australian dollars getting my Zilla.
Oh my god. Oh, I on my paid account, I lost 50-50 and went to like soft pity twice. So I'm with you there, but free to play is thriving. You would never guess it's free to play.
That's cracked. What about you, Grim? I honestly can't remember. You were. Did you get Bronya?
Yeah, I kind of knew that I had to get Bronya, at least for like what I was trying to do. So I rerolled for Bronya, and that was the goal, and we got there. But I'm pretty sure Braxophone's account is like just like straight up better than mine, and I like paid, so it was pretty bad, man.
And spent time rerolling. How many rerolls did it take you?
I mean, because I didn't want to like fall behind in the stamina, I only did 5 to get her. Some people like spend like insane amounts of time and got like accounts like Braxophone, but yeah, I just wanted to get into it. But yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
solid. 5's not too bad. Like I had a friend that did like 20 and didn't get her, and then just got an early Zilla and called it a day. So
yeah. I mean Zilla you can't complain about because you're getting just ahead in those banners. Eventually you'll hit the 300 pity for the Bronya. Yeah, I think I was happy with mine. I got Clara on both my accounts. Now my free to play account, nice. I'm not using the 5 stars, so it doesn't really matter. But I was wrapped when I got I got on my paid account. I actually got Bronya off the pity, the beginner banner. And then I lost the 50-50 on Zilla, but I got a Clara. So I was pretty happy with that as a lost 50-50. I actually enjoy Clara way more than Zilla, to be honest. Clara, Svarog, really, really entertaining. The damage, like Grim knows, he's done the calcs. Like he's seen the potential, but just the play style of it is so cool. I think it's solid.
We can get into that later, but she is one of the units which... people are clearing Memory of Chaos with right now, Clara. So yeah, she's good.
Yeah.
And so for you boys, we'll start with you, Grim. Through your leveling experience, your grinding experience, all that sort of stuff, what's your biggest takeaway to where you are now and the biggest thing you'd learn if you could give one tip to people?
I think a lot of people are very scared to level the free-to-play characters. Specifically the main character, Serval and like Danhang and stuff like that. They just want to like level the 5 stars. And my tip would be don't underestimate the 4 stars because they're actually some of the best units in the game. Like I'm surprised that they left them the way they are. They're completely broken, especially the Fire main character.
Fire MC, and especially when you consider the fact that we get all the Eidolons for free. Now, we're both stuck at 5 Eidolon on it, but I'm assuming it's going to be through level up rewards that we get the final one. But like with those upgrades and that general kit is absolutely nuts. But like you said, all the other ones as well. Even like March, I know you, like I was early on, I was like, man, I love March so much. But her utility as well as just a free unit, especially when we consider the fact that free-to-play only really get access to 1 healer. So you got 2 really good shielders to help survive in a second team. I think the options are crazy.
I would say on March, if you didn't get Bailu and you aren't going to get like a healer anytime soon, you actually just can't play the end game without her. Not really. So you have to level her.
Yeah, 100%. Because like you got the Fire MC, but those shields... I think end game when we get max geared plus 15 5-star gear, the shields may be able to absorb a bit more and like be more impactful. But that March shield to be able to, even just to target a DPS unit, put it on there, and then they get hit more, generate more energy. There's all the ways you can play it. But yeah, that chunky shield is huge. What about you, Brax? One piece of advice.
I was literally going to say the same thing. Like, I think... I leveled up all these characters. I leveled up like my Bailu. I leveled up my Hibiko and stuff. I was really excited about the 5 stars. And I mean, this is after talking about how broken the 4 stars are. But I didn't think it would actually be a problem that I hadn't leveled the free-to-play units. Because I feel like as soon as I got... There's certain things in this game that I feel like are really catered to the characters they give you. Like at the start, because like I mean obviously they're story relevant, but like they're unironically really strong characters. Like March, especially with the cleanse, being able to you can't perfectly loop freeze, but you can freeze a lot in an endgame build, like with a full setup, right? And you also have like Danhang is like actually really strong. Fizz MC is like pretty good. I feel like Fizz MC I've used for a lot more content than I thought I would. Fire MC, huge, insanely powerful. Like I don't know, all these free to play units, for the most part, with the exception of Kuru I feel like are pretty like solid.
Yeah.
I feel like Herda I've gotten some value out of in simulated universe with follow-up attack stuff, but it like
Yeah,
sorry.
100%. And the interesting thing is you touched on the physical MC. My one worry about that is like I always think, oh, maybe I could use the physical MC, but the problem is the resource crunch isn't in leveling the character, it's in the traces and everything like that. So I don't even want to delve into the physical past like the first like, Trailblaze level like 15, 20, just because I'm worried about resources. And that also gets me nervous for when we get other paths for the Trailblazer, because like the fire one's so good, we've leveled it. What if the next one is just as good and you want to level it, but then you've leveled for another character, but that character makes you exclude another character. So it's like, it's going to be tough decisions if they keep making the MC good. And I think it's actually a pretty good play for them to get people to sink resources into like a lost character essentially. So I don't know where they're going to go with it, but it's kind of nerve wracking, but I definitely think Fire MC is 100% worth it. But just touching on that, what's your guys feel around the light cones in general, the free light cones specifically compared to like the paid ones?
I feel like this is actually where the game is like less free to play friendly, actually, because a lot of the light cones they had in the beta were really strong, and then they went and they moved all of the beta like craftable light cones into the gacha, and then they gave us like a whole bunch of new ones, and a lot of them are okay. But the gacha light cones, I feel like are just have better stats a lot of the time. Maybe not even base stats, but like plus there's like an Arlen light cone that's like 20% damage bonus, and then if the enemy has higher HP than you, percentage wise, it's another 20% damage bonus. Like that's pretty ridiculous. But like a really low like condition, like 40% damage bonus is really, really good. But that's like another gacha light cone, right? But in betas, I'm pretty sure it was accessible. I will say the Herda shop ones, two of them are really good.
Yeah. So for me, it's like the other ones I look to are like the defense shred on Nihility, because I was looking at building a Pella and I was talking to Grim about this yesterday. I'm like, most characters I can find a free-to-play light cone. Like Savol, I know Grim hates me talking about this, but I love Savol with the 3-star key because it gives her, if she's at E2, it gives her a cycle, 2 skills, ultimate. I love it. It's a fun play style. I don't care if it's not the best damage. But then if we look to most characters you can find something. There's even that the support, the Harmony Tree one, which gives you extra energy, which isn't too bad on Harmony characters that you're not too stressed about their base stats to get from it. But yeah, then you've got like the other ones, like kind of like Grim was telling me about the Su Shang 4-star, which is now gotcha, which like that's insane because it procs so quickly. But what are your thoughts, Grim?
I mean, I think it depends on the path, right? Like some of the free-to-play light cones are really insane for the path. Like the Abundance free-to-play light cone is like, I'm actually using the free-to-play one. I have literally the 5-star gacha one, and I'm using the free-to-play one because I just think it's the best. Yeah. Because it gives you the energy every turn. But then there are some like Nihility who kind of get shafted if you want to play support Nihility characters.
Oh yeah, that's what I forgot to finish my point was, I was trying to, I was like getting ready for a free-to-play build on Pella, and I'm like, there is no light cone that I want to put on Pella. It's just like, she needed to be a Harmony character for me, not Nihility.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. I think give it 2 months, and if you factor in getting all the Herda light cones, you're probably going to be looking pretty good. There's 3 exceptions to that rule, and that's probably going to be the Harmony light cone Dance 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 that advances actions forward. That's broken.
Yep.
Braxophone knows. The Nihility Armor Shred, you're going to want that, and then also the Preservation Taunt light cone, or one of them. There's 2 of them. One of them's 4-star, one of them's 5-star. Those are the 3 where it feels like, okay, not having them as a free-to-play player kind of sucks. But other than those, I feel like you can kind of get by with Herda and with just like what you kind of get. But yeah.
Do you guys reckon we're going to get new ones in the Herda store eventually?
Oh yeah, eventually.
I was just actually like, I'm looking at Brax just because like, the Genshin side, Hoyoverse, like I didn't know if there was anything similar.
Yeah, I think it's less likely to get new Herda cones and more likely to get new craftable ones. I don't know, because Genshin doesn't really have a system like Simulated Universe, right? So like we don't have anything to compare it to. But just if they do follow Genshin's model of like not really adding like a lot of like free-to-play things until like the very next region, so like the really big update that'll happen, maybe we'll get some more for Herda. Maybe like they'll do an expansion to Simulated Universe and they'll add some new paths or something, and that would be really cool. But yeah, I feel like they're more likely to give us new crafted options than they are the Herda ones. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's fair.
I hope I'm wrong.
I hope you're wrong too, to be honest. I want some more 5 stars that I can max out.
Because they're good. Like, I mean, they nerfed the stats of them a little bit from the betas, but like they're still pretty solid. Like the Hunt one, I think is really good. Destruction one's like pretty good. And I don't really like the Preservation one, but I think that's more of like the Preservation characters don't really need it as much compared to like maybe there's going to be one in the future. I don't know.
Yeah, see,
is that a hot take?
I don't mind the Preservation. Like, I see the downfall on it when you look at it is like it doesn't have defense on its ability, so it's like they will scale off defense. But I really like the way it works in that it's good when you start off because if you get attacked, you get a shield, so it gives you that mitigation, and then it like cycles the mitigation because once you've got your shield up, which is most of the time for them, you are getting mitigation. I just haven't. It's one of those ones I really need to test to feel it out. What about you, Grim? Thoughts?
I mean, I don't want to say like definitively, but I can tell you like from an end game perspective, like because that's like I'm there right now in the Memory of Chaos. The one thing which I need is damage mitigation, like just percentage take less damage because I zone in and all my guys are at 10% HP, just straight up.
Yeah, it's also a phase of the game thing because you're going into end game content with levels 60 or level 57 characters. Once you get to level 80 with your characters, then it's less about that, and so it's just the game sort of runs in cycles with what you're after depending on where you're at is the type of vibe I'm getting from it.
I do agree, but I don't think anyone's gonna have fully maxed out 80 characters anytime soon.
No.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It'll take a while.
I mean, if you look at the beta, I can't remember how long I played the beta for, like 2 months. Now, I did max refreshes on stamina in that until I ran out of Stellar Jades. And then I kept doing my dailies, everything I could, all the side quests, all the chests, everything. And I think I had one level 80 character at the end of it.
I think the other thing to consider, though, is like it's probably going to take like a ton of time to like get a team like maxed out. But at the same time, remember that what we're farming for right now, it's like you get increased drop rates later. It's not like a significant jump, but it's like enough to make a difference when you're farming at, TR 50 versus like, TR 30 or whatever it may be.
100%. And I'm curious to see what the rates go to there because the highest I got to was I got up to Trailblazer rank 60. And 65 was the one that unlocks the final thing, and I didn't get there. But at 60 in the gear farm, it was one guaranteed 5-star and a 50% chance at a second one. So because they've upped the lower rates, I'm hoping that becomes guaranteed double, and then maybe at 65 we get guaranteed double and 50% at a third. That would be wicked.
That'd be sick. It might be copium, but that's sick. That'd be sick.
I believe in the dream.
the dream.
Sometimes you just gotta believe, boys. Because at the end of the day, because I don't know about you, I know Grim. Have you played? I don't know if you've played other gotcha games, turn-based games, Summoners War, Epic 7. Have you, Braxophone? Nah, so like that's where I come from. And in those games, you get basically stamina refills are generally pretty cheap. And you can just basically, if you just decide not to summon, you can just farm gear all day. Whereas this game's very limiting on your stamina. So I think having those multiple drops is sort of like a must-do thing, which then makes it more inviting to players because you're not having to click repeat 100 times a day, but you're still getting a decent amount of reward. So I'm curious to see how they actually end up getting that out, but we'll jump on. You go.
I was just going to say, I'd like to ask you guys, because this is probably the number one thing which a lot of people are like worried about is what are you guys spending your stamina on right now?
That's
I'm
my
leveling characters. I'm just leveling characters right now. Like Ascension stuff, basically, leveling light cones that I need to, but I feel like the progression right now is moving at a pace to which, like, I don't really have leftover stamina. Like, if I want to, like, get 4 characters from 40 to 50.
I think it's that later half of 30 to 40 where it becomes, like, now you need to, like, look at the future. Like, that's actually the video I was meant to click publish on before we started recording, but I forgot to. For me, it's like, because I know we've spoken about this as well, Grim, and it's always like these are always interesting topics because I don't think there is a right answer specifically. The only right answer to me is don't farm 4-star gear. Like that's like the one thing I wouldn't do because you don't need it. Like I'm catching up my paid account now. I think it's at like level 37. I've got none of my gear is leveled at all, and I've completed the whole story, so I'm not having any issues. I can farm everything I need to. So 4-star gear, no. So for me, at the moment, I'm farming 5-star gear. So that's where I'm at. I'm just trying to get some, just some sets for my characters, my main, like at least 4 decent main stat pieces of gear, but fucking RNG is shafting me, and I can't get a fucking pair of speed boots. It's killing me. But that is another thing. But yeah, besides that, trace materials. What's your thoughts, Grim?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just right now the 5-star gear, because you got to get some of that good stuff. But I'm very closely looking back to going to trace materials now, because it looks pretty brutal. But yeah, I think overall there's not really any right answer. Just perhaps like maybe think about things which will be useful in a month from now is probably what I'm trying to do. Yeah,
something else I didn't expect. I stupidly leveled up more characters because I was just thinking I was going to start looking at Memory of Chaos, and I didn't realize the resource crunch like when I was pre-level 40. And now that I'm post-level 40, I should have just kept focusing on 5 characters instead of 7. Because now, and mine's is free to play, so I don't even have that battle pass, because the battle pass is huge for those resources. So like things like, especially my experience, character experience, all my 7 characters level 55, and I just don't have the experience to go further. But I'm trying to avoid farming experience as much as I can and just get it through other sources. And then if I have to later, I'll jump back to it. But yeah, I think I definitely underestimated how much. Sorry, we lost Grim for a sec. All right, where were we at?
We were just talking about like what we're spending our.
Oh yeah, the battle pass. Yeah, experience. Yeah, I would have stuck to 5. However, we'll get into the next topic, and I'll talk about why I'm actually happy I leveled extra units, because I am super pumped for 1 unit. Jeez, I like when I have fun with something, like, Grim, like I'm like a dog with a bone when I'm having fun with something. Like survival with key, I'm massive on that. We'll get into it, but all right, let's kick it off. We'll let Grim go first on this one.
I won't take up much time, because I'm really interested to hear what Braxophone has to say.
Okay, let's kick it off with Brax. Okay, Brax, units, kick it off with I don't care how many you talk about, just do whatever. But units you feel like are worth investing in now for the future. Keep in mind, guys, none of us are there yet. So this is all just opinion shit. Like, when you hear mine, it's full cap. So, but like, Brax, units, the disclaimer's out of the way. No one's going to hold you to this. I'll clip it later, but fine.
All right, yeah. No, nobody ever remind me that I said this ever. So I feel like we already kind of talked about the free-to-play units, and I feel like they carry so hard, but I feel like probably some of the biggest ones, at least right now, like Natasha is huge, right? Because Natasha, obviously she has cleanse and stuff, but like, considering there's only 2 healers in the game right now, right? Am I crazy?
Yep.
There's only 2, right? Okay, yeah. So between Natasha and Bailu, right? If you don't have Bailu, like, Natasha's basically, you're going to need her to be invested in, because like otherwise you're not going to be able to survive a lot of the end game stuff until you like finally get all your characters leveled up where they have the stats where they can survive a hit, Yeah. But then like I feel like leveling, it's so hard to say, because I think that supports are really important. I think that like your March is like really important. I think that leveling up, if you ever had like Tingyun or Bronya, like I feel like you want to level them, but it's not for the same reason that you would level damage dealers, right? Because like you want your damage dealers to deal as much damage as possible, but you level your supports so that way they can get the most out of their effects. And I feel like that matters a lot more down the line. Right now, you can just like where I'm at, I can just brute force my way through everything. I can just build all DPS, and I can just slam my head against the wall and everything dies. Based on like whatever buffs I pick. But supports are definitely going to be so key in endgame. So if people have been like dodging building like March and stuff because they don't really feel like they need to, or Shield's strong enough at level 20 to kill level 50 or to survive level 50 stuff, whatever it may be. Tingyun's going to be huge. March, Natasha, they're just super necessary characters.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair call. And yeah, 100%. And like I said, I feel like the game goes in cycles, and it happens with every game, where it's like survivability's like number one thing. Eventually it may be like, screw for survivability, we're just going YOLO teams all the way for everything to try and speed clear shit. But definitely at this stage, I don't think you can go wrong with some support building. What about you, Grim?
So the characters which I feel like for me at least, of course, this is just me, is most impactful to level is actually the shielders, because one of the changes they made from closed beta to live is they took power away from the percentage scaling. So they're worse much later on, but they gave them a lot of flat scaling. So like it gets really good every single time you level up their trace.
Yeah.
So that feels the best to me. The damage dealers, they kind of like, they're all percentage based. So they're a little bit less impactful to immediately level up. So for me, at least, leveling up March and Fire MC, and God, I wish I had him, but Japad, if you have Japad, leveling him up, oh man, there's no one I want more than Japad right now, man. But yeah, I would probably level up the shielders first, for at least from my perspective, and then probably pick 1 or 2 DPS to kind of take really high.
Yeah.
There you go. I was kind of general when I said supports, but like, yeah, like because like in my brain, I register like March, Fireblazer as supports too, because they're not damage dealers. It's kind of
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, I think if you're not leveling up QQ, the chick whose name I can't pronounce, you're just playing it wrong. Like, she's just too fun. But
I was playing gacha in the gacha game.
Dude, it is. I did like because in beta when I was playing it, I was like, okay, I just want to look for what's the best. And I was like, this is just too confusing for me. I don't care. It's random. Let's just leave it. But then, because on my free to play account, I was going to use all 4 stars, but the only non-free 4-star I've gotten is Sampo. And I was like, I need coverage because I've already got Dam built. So I was like, let's build her. Dude, I'm absolutely loving that character. I had a hot take with Grim the other day. I was like, hot take, E6, she's going to be better than any other free-to-play unit. Like, damage potential. That's my hot take at E6, because then she gets the follow-up attack dealing double damage. She's a self-buffing unit. You can look at it with skill points, and she's going to start refunding skill points. I'm like, this chick's going to be savage. But that is my hot take. I think she is going to be. No one build her. Please don't build her and then say I told you to, please, because like this is just a complete hot take of me having fun with something. But in general, like seriousness, I think what the boys said. I think shielding and healing, but also. I feel like at this stage, the other thing I want to mention is who's worth building. Once again, I sort of felt like I leveled too many characters when I went from Trailblazer level, like when I went up past 40, because I was thinking I'm looking at Chaos Memory now, and I decided I was going to level 8, but I could only find 7 that I wanted to level, and now I'm so resource strapped. That I was like, that's a bad idea. I probably should have waited for the next like Trailblazer level 50 to start looking towards that type of content. But in general, I think you're going to need the DPS, at least 2. Ideally, I just think you don't want to, let me know if you guys think I'm wrong. You want to have still elemental coverage in the units that you are building. What's up, Graham?
I was just going to say, for the story, I think you should focus on like 4 or 5 characters for sure. Like, there is no way that getting any more of that is needed. But if you want to tackle the Memory of Chaos and you do not have at least 4 or 5 of the elements, oh boy, is it hard. You need the elemental coverage. But I will say, I'm pretty sure people are going to look back on what we're talking about right now, and like in like 6 months, and they're going to be like, what are they talking about? I just use Genuine and everything dies.
Yeah.
They're going to be like that. Or 100% they're going to be like that.
Kafka's got it covered, boys. Shut up. Yeah. Silverwolf, just change their weakness. I'm definitely down that road, but I just find like at the moment, like if I come up against like, for instance, it's the what are the dudes? You know, the Silvermane Guard?
Oh.
Because I think I think he's weak to imaginary, physical, and ice. And because I haven't pulled the Su Shang yet, I'm just like, all I've got is March for breaking this guy. And it's like, it is bashing your head against a wall trying to get through those guys. And he's got the revenge and everything like that.
You got to pull out the bat.
Oh, that's another topic. On offensive supports, who do you guys rate from offensive supports? So like that's being like Bronya, Pella, Tingyun, Asta, those type of supports that are more offensive pressure focused.
You want to go first, Grim?
Oh, okay. So I would not consider Bronya an offensive support strictly. I don't think that she is really comparable to Tingyun, because when I'm using her now, like actually like not on auto and like manual, like every move I'm like, what do I do? That unit is, I think, better than even I thought it was. Like, what you can do with it is ridiculous. Like, it is Yeah, so I think she's actually more of a utility unit than a strict damage buff. But if you're talking about like buffers, I think that they're a lot more powerful than I think many people thought. Like a lot of, like, as I mentioned earlier, the like Jing Yuan just smash. You can absolutely build a Sele team where you just buff her with a Ting and she just ignores the elemental vulnerability. It doesn't matter what they have.
Yep.
You just kill it. So yeah, I think buffers are broken, man.
Yeah, and with that, like, you talk about Bronya being like a versatile unit. I also think that Ting also has some of that versatility just in her ult, being able to buff ult gauge. So that's the great thing about units that are quote unquote offensive in nature, but you can play them defensively with that same ability. So typically when you look at both of them, you're trying to, if you're using their buff, you're going to buff an offensive unit to get more damage, but you can just do it with Bronya to get turn gauge on a defensive skill to keep you alive. And then Ting, you can use her ult on a defensive unit, a healer. So you've just healed, you're still not capped, you're going to get more damage. You can use it on a healer, get another ult quicker, and then keep going. But I like the versatility in those two units. You go, Grim.
I was just gonna say one thing which I've noticed, which a lot of people probably don't know about this game, and which is not like Genshin at all. I don't think, Braxophone, correct me if I'm wrong, is there's the concept of like in card games we call it like a toolbox. There's like toolbox stuff that you can use, and Bronya and Ting are like a toolbox, right? If you're in a situation, you can use them in a lot of different ways to get yourself out of that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like a spreadsheet. Like the spreadsheet stuff helps, yes, to tell you what the best damage and what the best support and stuff like that is. But when you actually get in there, it's not like that at all.
Yeah. It's kind of like March and Trailblazer Fire and stuff like that. Similar situation. Like, will this taunt allow me to avoid it? And that comes down to positioning of characters as well, which we can even go into. And then March, like I said, I love the utility of March because she's a more defensive support unit that you can use offensively by shielding your DPS, getting them to be attacked more because it has aggro, and giving them more energy so you can play more offensively. So I definitely think that balance that they've brought in the characters is pretty decent.
I feel like that's...
You go, Brax.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say...
Yeah, I was gonna say Tingyun. I like Tingyun because she has an oh shit button. Like if you are like about to die, let's say you have a healer up, and like you just didn't expect to take as much damage or whatever. It's like a fail safe for you to be able to use her ult. I mean, it's not ideal, right? But you can use her ult to get your healer ult to heal your team, saves you from taking lethal damage, and then you can go. And because this is a turn-based game with RNG factors, like, there is only so much that you can actually theorycraft and simulate, right? We can talk about like damage ceilings of characters, but when you actually get into Memory of Chaos and stuff, and you start like actually having to do this really hard endgame content that's catered towards a specific kind of team or build or like type coverage or whatever it may be, that matters so much more. And you could theorycraft and simulate every single team for every single floor, but like I just feel like that's unrealistic with the amount of teams we have, the amount of characters, and so having characters that, like you said, with a toolbox is so nice, and I feel like that's what's going to make Tingyun and Bronya stand out. Yep. One thing though that I am really excited to see is how Welts and Pela do in endgame, because Welt got some changes too. What were you going to say?
I would put them in the same category, because
Really?
Pela is actually one that I leveled just because she's ice. That unit, oh man, that unit. You would be surprised at how many enemies have a buff you can take off and how impactful that is. You know, like the big horse.
I could not believe it when he told me some of the things that she strips. It deletes it.
That one specifically, I actually realized that one is not going to work, the one I told you about.
Oh.
But there is other stuff you can do. So, you know, the green horse, apparently that just has like a buff which stacks up to 5, which makes it do like 30 or 40% more damage. You just take it off.
You just remove it. It doesn't remove one stack. It just removes it's just gone.
It removes all of them. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I think I removed. I mean, maybe I'm insane for this, but I think I removed the reviving thing. I don't know if in Memory of Chaos there's the enemies that revive themselves.
Not yet.
They'll probably be in a future wave. Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking about that in the Battle Pass Light Cone that can remove a buff from the enemies, and I was like, that's not helpful now, but later that's going to be broken.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Pela and Welt are characters that I'm really excited for, and just like getting like new light cones for Naility, because I feel like Naility has like some good like class stuff, but I do feel like their light cones are like it's like having another character in that slot, like especially the one that literally just shreds defense. It's insane.
Yeah, and I think that Pellet and Welt will go really well together as well. In general, I could be wrong, just because the defense shred scales outside of everything. Welt's debuff scales outside, so you're getting really good scaling across the whole board. And then you've got Welt slowing, which means the debuffs will stay on longer until you can reapply them if your team's fast enough. So I feel like those two also have synergy inside each other, depending on what else you've got to put with them. Probably a healer and a DPS or something like that, big cleaver. But
I think we'll see a lot more creativity after the sustainability bar has been reached. You know, like I'm sure.
Right.
Tell us about this in Genshin, but I think a lot of the creativity people always tell me is like after the shielding guy, the Geo guy came out, like you can do like so much more with the teams because you don't have to worry about healing, right?
You just don't have to think about it. Yeah, like you could just run like another damage dealer or like a support or something, and
yeah, we're not at that point yet. I'll give you an example. So one of the bosses I was using the Fire MC Taunt and March Shield every single turn and basic attacking with my 2 DPS to win. So it's that bad.
Oh my god!
and then you run out of cycles.
Well, unfortunately I didn't, but yeah, it's pretty rough, and that's why I want Japad. But anyway, yeah.
Japad's gonna be chunky, and his aggro in like that leads me on to another one. This is all. I'm just gonna say, who do you reckon is the most underrated character?
Japad.
Because that's what got me into that part as well. Because I was talking about it earlier, and I was just like, he's gonna be so good later on, and just like we've seen the Billy stuff from him as well, that he can do, and he just negates the need for a healer. What about you?
I haven't really heard anyone call any characters bad, actually. So it's hard for me to say, but I definitely think there's a lot of people who get Japard who like don't really know how good that unit is. So yeah, probably Japard.
My problem with him is like people like, oh, I pulled Japard. Should I where do I use him? I'm like, I never got him in the early game, so I don't know. But I just know that Fire MC and March are fine in the early game. Like you can use him, but it's like I always say, when you get to Memory of Chaos, you will be glad that you have a Japard. That is 100%. But that's when Japard has his time to shine. Let me know, because after all the balancing changes they did pre-launch, I feel like they didn't really make a bad 5-star from the starters.
There's one.
You're going to say Yangqing?
Yangqing.
He's good if you had Japard.
For the shields.
Yeah, he needs shields. And, he's going to get better and better. Like, if there's ever a shielder which replaces a healer, like Japard, who does do that, actually.
Something like him, Japard, Pella against Ice Week.
Oh, yeah, that's a good combo. Yeah, but he needs other units, which are currently not accessible to be really good.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, like the other thing is he's like the hunt damage dealer, which you have Sushang and Danny Boy as 2 free-to-play options, and you got Zila as the banner, who's the other option. It's like you're just flooded in a sea of competition at that point.
I think the reason he doesn't feel great is also because he's got a defensive typing as an offensive unit.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Anything else on that one?
I was just gonna mention that was it Grim? Was it you that like calced him to be like potentially worse than Dunhung for single target damage, or was that like after?
No, he is just straight up worse than him.
Just with that one, that is playing Dan in a very hard way to play him perfectly. Like I feel like at this stage of the game, I don't think anyone would be able to play Dan that way, because you wouldn't have the skill points, because you got to use too many skill points defensively. Would you say that, Grim?
Look,
because it requires proccing Dan's passive, and him only ever using that wind penetration buff with his ult, which if you need to do an AoE heal, it procs his passive.
I think like if you like stick everyone in their best situation and you can play them like well, like because there's a lot of assumptions for Yangqing as well. Is he really gonna not get hit? Are you serious?
Don't you have Japard, mate? Don't you have Japard yet?
I mean, I don't. But yeah, I mean, like, I think if you compare the units, I'd much prefer to have Dan Heng on my team than Yangqing. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it did my boy Edward Elric dirty. I love that guy's design.
But yeah.
That's fair. Okay, so let me rephrase my thing. So I feel like they only made one bad
Not bad, not bad.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. But yeah, like I was wrapped with the Bronya change, not the Bronya change. That I mean, let's face it, the Bronya change was pretty well needed, I think.
I think that, like, I mean, she's still like not even, you can't even second guess if she's like the best 5-star from the standard pool at this point. But I do think it was kind of needed. Like, I think she would have been like way too broken. Like, she's already really good. I don't know if she needs to be better.
Yeah, 100%. And then, yeah, I just Bronya, like, because I thought about that. I'm like, that is actually a good change because it's promoting like even balance, and it did feel like something that wasn't meant to be done. But Himiko, like, I liked the Himiko changes. I think that was pretty good.
Yeah,
the burn on anything,
that was really good.
Like, it's only a subtle thing, but I definitely think it gives her more viability. I definitely like the Welt change because Welt, I was so confused. Like, when you look at his Eidolons, it was like, is he trying to be a damage dealer? Is he trying to be a support? It's like now they've gone, okay, he's more of a support based unit. And that's what we're looking at building him. What do you think on that, Grim?
Well, I mean, I'm always really interested in what Braxophone has to say because he plays Genshin and I didn't play Genshin, and he has a good perspective on that. But I will say that I think I just want to give a little bit more context to like why I say stuff. So I think AoE is really important, and Himiko has AoE, and so does Welt. And breaking with AoE is actually relevant, and that's why I rank Yangqing lower because he's like no AoE, and all the other hunt units have some form of way to get the AoE.
You know what's funny? When we first got into the beta and we were getting into like Hall of Memories and like early Memory of Chaos, everything was like a single target boss with really easy waves. So it's like we weren't rating AoE early on as like a really important thing because it didn't seem like it. And then once we saw people getting to like floor 8, 9, 10, where you've got pretty tough waves and then you've got 2 bosses the whole time, it was like, okay, now AoE actually really is more of a thing in this one. 100%.
On the Welt topic, I think of Welt like I was trying to look at the damage bonus he adds with one of his traces.
4%.
It's, you say 4%?
12.
12. Okay. I was like, yeah, that was like 4 sounds way too low. It kind of reminds me of like Mona in a way, if Mona like didn't have like horrible energy problems in Genshin Impact. So like Mona's a character in Genshin where you can like build her and she can ult, and what she does is she applies basically a debuff to an enemy that says it makes your character, or like it makes that character take more damage, but what it actually is just damage bonus to anyone that hits that enemy. And I feel like that's actually really strong, especially in a game like this. Where if you're against an enemy, like enemies have so much resistance in this game compared to Genshin, like they just resist fucking everything. And you have a toughness bar and just so many layers of that. So as soon as you get an ability character that's like able to like debuff with whatever, maybe the light cone they're using or whatever, and you have them be able to add basically damage bonus to when your team hits them, that's basically like a team-wide damage buff effectively against the enemy you're on. And I feel like that's really strong. I will say though, I think like a lot of the reason people call Welt good right now is just because of imaginary coverage. And I feel like as soon as we have more imaginary characters, that like kind of goes away. So it'll be interesting to see like how good he is later.
What you feel? What you feel on the speed and turn gauge manipulation on him? Like,
I think it's really cool. I think it's cool the idea of like just constantly slowing down enemies, because we have like a bunch of ways to do that. We can speed ourselves up. We can freeze the enemy. We can slow down the enemy. I feel like there's a lot of characters that you can go fast on and you can build to go faster, but I don't feel like there's as many ways to slow enemies down. And I think that that's going to be something that we'll have to look into later, because I don't have access to a lot of it yet. But I do think it's a useful utility that a lot of people are going to take advantage of once we get there. Yeah, towards the end of like Chaos.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But the one thing that I had, the one like quote unquote issue that I have with it is that when we look at Memory of Chaos, it doesn't slow the cycle. So it's only slowing the enemy. So it can't speed. Like, so him slowing the enemies doesn't actually speed your team up when you're looking at trying to clear things fast. That's the only issue I have with it. Besides that, it's like, it's a great effect. And it's like, it's always a great effect to slow enemies and get more turns and have more it gives you survivability and offensive pressure. But it's just those cycles that it would be nice if it had an effect.
So this is copium, but like in like almost some kind of weird way, you can almost think of it as like damage mitigation. because you're not actually reducing the damage. You are reducing the overall damage you take. If you manage to consistently slow an enemy down, maybe they get 1 less or 2 less attacks in that amount of time, which could also lower your heal requirements or your shield requirements. Again, we're not level 80 and stuff yet, but I think that's another thing that
by no means copium. That's based, because you literally have more time to get your skill points and get your ult gauge and heal and mitigate damage. 100%, I definitely agree. What's your thoughts, Grim? You look like you're thinking, mate.
I think wealth is probably the unit apart from Japan, which I got the most wrong from beta. So I think he's way better than I put him in A, but I think he's better than that.
I think he's ass.
I think he's probably one of those units, yeah. And the reason I say that is, I think we're not like really there yet. Like people aren't like there yet, but like when you actually get in there, it's like you kind of make the team, and you're like, okay, how little defense can I go with here, right? And I feel like Welt is someone who brings damage, and he's also like I think you could probably even do some of the fights with just Welt as the defensive unit because of the way Imaginary works.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't know, the Imaginary typing is like an action gauge down when you break with it, and that scales with break effect. So you get like 100% break effect on Welt, and you can like skip like many like turns just doing that. So I think it could be pretty broken.
Plus he's putting damage increase with that as well. So like that hyper offensive sort of defensive support that he brings.
Let me tell you, there's nothing more satisfying that I found in this game than when you get rid of all of the ads and you have a bounce effect that goes off on one enemy and just fucking deletes their shield.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I understand. This is my thing. Like, Asta's such a funny one because she's that unit. Like, I feel like she's more of a fire specialist because to get her passive, her attack buff to work properly, you need fire units to be hitting and stuff like that. But she's one of those units where it's like, I don't know if I want multiple units or one unit with her because I want multiple units so I can get max charging stacks for the attack buff. But at the same time, I only want one unit so I can get that shred of the toughness bar. So I never know how I want to use her. But that actually kind of leads me into another topic because for me it would be Asta. What's a unit do you guys think will change drastically with gear or change a lot with gear? As in getting like higher end gear will kind of change the play style of them. For me, it's something that Grim said to me ages ago, and it's like Asta with the idea of like getting extra energy regeneration on her and stuff like that with gear, that maybe she has a much higher uptime with her speed buff, because in the early game, her speed buff isn't up anywhere near enough for me. But I feel like with energy regeneration that you get from gear and stuff like that, she could prop up. We'll kick it off with you, Braxophone, or if you're not ready.
I mean, we already kind of talked about this a little bit. But I was working on some stuff with March, and I think that effect hit rate, if you can combine that, I mean, this is a lot of assumptions, but I don't remember which Eidolon it was. She has an Eidolon that makes it so you get energy back based on the amount of enemies that you freeze.
Yeah.
And it's not like an insane amount, but like when you get some Eidolons on March and you're playing the counter up follow up attack game, you're getting energy with your follow-up attacks. You're getting energy from her getting hit if she does. You're getting energy from shields. You're getting energy from the enemies that you freeze. So you play effect hit rate. And then you also, you can run like the energy recharge thing on her as well. And like all of those things stack up. I feel like March has the potential in like late game to go from a character that has just like, you just run her full shield bot to like actual freeze bot plus a shield. And I feel like that playstyle will be viable and like will pick up, especially like once we get farming the right main stats and like with substats that have like effect hit rate or whatever that may be.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, honestly. I think March is insane.
Is that anyone else you can think of, Grim, or is that cover you as well? Yeah.
I think overall the supports are a lot more gear reliant than the DPS characters in this game. So like just having the energy recharge rope changes their rotations and allows them to use the ultimate like way more. It's crazy. And that like creates breakpoints and all sorts of like silly stuff like with Ting Yun and stuff like that. So yeah, probably any of the supports, you can pretty much pick any of them. Those are the ones which I would say are the ones that get the most out of gear, and their playstyle completely changes.
Yeah, perfect. Any other topics you guys want to cover before we cap it off?
Not a thing. Oh, simulated universe. What's your guys' favorite path for that you've been enjoyed playing?
You go, Grim, because I know what yours is going to be. I'll do something different.
Oh, okay. I mean, I like the preservation, so I can put it on auto.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just put it on auto. Go make a coffee.
Yeah,
There you go.
mine at the moment, like I like for getting through stuff on bosses that can be frozen. I like the freeze path because you've got what's that, Remembrance? I can't remember what it's called, but you've got like the 4 combo that you can do where you get the one that when you hit a frozen enemy, they get that thing. What's it called? The permafrost, or I can't remember what they call it in this game.
Dissociation.
Yeah, that one. Then you've got the one that reduces their resistance to being frozen because you need to freeze them, obviously. Then the one that when disassociation comes off, they get frozen again. So it's like you freeze an enemy, you tap them, and it's like those 3. But then the other one that makes it just so much easier is the like 5 hits and they're frozen. So it's like literally it doesn't matter what deficit you're at, what level, what gear, anything. You just freeze them. And then they're perma-frozen and they take 30% of their max health every time they come out of a freeze that then gets reapplied. It's just like, it's busted. So but besides that, I really like the hunt path because once you get to the stage of getting 2 upgrades of your resonance, you can get the one that gives you 200 energy, so you can stack up 2 of them. And then you get the one, and like, because this is the easiest thing to get because it's just 2 of the upgrades that you can get pretty much any run unless you get horrible RNG and don't get hunt blessings. But then you get the one that does more damage on low enemies, and when you kill them, it gives you 50% of your max energy on it. So, for instance, like against Cocolia, she summons 2 ice pillars at the same time as Bronya's out. As soon as she summons those ice pillars, you have it stacked to 2. You do those 2, you kill the ice pillars, you go back to full, you do 2 more, and you kill Bronya. If your DPS is high enough attack that it scales. And it's like, that is going to be one that I think for speed runs, going the hunt path, because it's easy and reliable to get because you can just go... and then if you get the curio that starts the battle at full path resonance and like increases the damage by 40%. So if you can get that one curio at the start of a fight and then you just pick up hunt things until that, like it's just like easy clap everything, just like for speed. Because at the end of the day, it's going to become a speed gear farm. So yeah. What about you, Brax?
I was actually, that you reminded me. So I've been playing a lot of like mixed hunt and preservation, basically. It's good for like, especially if you're underinvested compared to like the level of the other stuff, because you just don't die with preservation, and then with hunt, it's like you can make up for all the damage you don't have. So it ends up working out really well. But I don't remember if it was that energy one that you mentioned or if it was a different one, but I remember I had the hunt path resonance where it drops all like the wind arrows, and then every time it kills something, it like gets energy back, and you could just spam the button because it just kills them, and then it's like wave 2, and then you just do it again, and then it's wave 3, and you do it again. Yep. It's really dumb. Yeah. But it's a lot of fun. I actually just I did a run on Nihility too, because I thought that would be interesting, and it scratches my my Genshin brain with all the really pretty colors of all the dots that go off at the same time. So. Yeah,
I played in the beta because I leveled Sampo, and I was just running Nihility with Sampo and Savol, and I found that really solid. Like it does, like when you stack that dot damage, like it does tons of damage every time they take a turn. It just like melts away.
It chunks them for like 50% at the end of the turn, and yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, 100%. But I think that's just about everything we need. I don't even know how long this has been going. I think we're around an hour time. I feel like that's pretty decent.
I'll end on one thing.
Yes, go.
Oh, the one thing that Braxophone actually said to me, which I've been thinking about a lot, and I think he might have been right, and that is that Break Effect might be the elemental mastery of Star Rail. I think it's way more important than I thought it was. So yeah, that's what I'll end on that.
That's an interesting, that's a whole other topic we can get into. You set something off there. I think that's another topic for another one. Because it's an interesting one because it's amazing when you utilize it, but if you're not utilizing it, it's gone. But I think we'll leave that for another future topic because that's going to be another long conversation. But
yeah, for sure.
Once again, guys, we'll have these guys' channels linked in the description and in the pinned comment. Go show these guys some support. Absolute legends. Love connecting with them. And like I said, we got a little group chat and they've been handy to me, helping me out all the time. So go show some love. But thanks for coming, guys. Really appreciate it. We'll try and do this another time if you guys are keen for it.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah.
Sounds good.
Thanks.